Necromancy, something that's near and dear to my heart. Brian Von VA. Today, we're talking about on the subject of necromancy. Oh, I love it. What is your opinion on necromancy, assuming that you include it in your worlds at all? Is it something that's neutral at worst or inherently evil? Do you prefer to keep it closer to the Greek origin of the term, where you're just communicating with the spirits of the dead to divine the future and hidden knowledge? Or do you like the more modern association with undead and necrotic energies? And in regard to the latter, what are some of the cooler things that you've done or seen done with necromancy, or would at least like to see done more in traditional games or elsewhere? For instance, I like the Diablo take on necromancy, where, while a bit scary, necromancers are devoted to balance and are far from evil. Necromancy is considered a crime against nature in my world. There is an entire holy knightly order devoted to rooting it out, not to mention the Holy Inquisition as well. Necromancy is considered holy in my setting, as it allows short-lived humans to compete with the races that outlive and outbreed them. Good necromancy. Use dead pigs and bones and the powers of evil to stem the tide, solve practical problems, but only as a kind of latter need once the other options have been exhausted. Only turn people that actually died into zombies, and more on very tough shit that needs a lot of fucking cannon fodder. Use spells such as Revivify to keep important people alive, talk with the dead to answer questions, effectively good intentions with this magic. Then we have neutral necromancy. Use dead people nobody remotely gives a shit about, like vile criminals. Use the labor to generate comfort and profit. Be smart enough to make zombies and shit self-terminate upon charge for Revivifies. Effectively, just become a pseudo-slave owner getting some shit done. And then we have evil necromancy. You do naughty things to corpses. You eat living children. Your best friends are hyper zombies. You smell like shit. You got plans to murder everyone. Morality? It's just a concept you do not understand nor care for. You're not in it for the money. You just want to diddle some mummies. Basically, at this point, all you want to do is create that blood golem of your dreams, or if you're feeling frisky, the shit golem of your nightmares, full with teeth made of corn nuggets and decayed flesh. If I read the real stuff that was on there, you'd just lose your mind, so we're gonna go with that. Magic, in my world, is gray. It is neither inherently evil nor is it good, but it is defined by those that use it for their purposes. You make a skeleton army that is a tireless, resource-free, minus the magic casting and junk, protection workforce to better the lives of the living. I see that as a good use of necromancy, because I personally dislike the idea that messing with life and death of the natural order in the name of necromancy is being evil, yet healing magic messing with life and death of the natural order being outright good to be hypocritical. I kinda want to roll up a necromancer character at some point that's a theater nerd, that can't actually get any performers to work with them, and instead just makes them out of bone and stuff and does it all themselves. Kinda like a puppet master sort of deal. That's a really cool idea. Necromancy is considered creepy and unsettling, but it is generally a consensual process. Uncooperative souls are very hard to return to their corporeal forms, and it isn't worth the trouble or unpredictable nature. The willing dead aren't very hard to find, as most people die with a desire to finish some unfinished business. Generally, an agreement between a necromancer and a soul involves service to the necromancer in exchange for an opportunity to finish said business. Most people tolerate it, but still don't like it, and it originated as an elven religious practice, which adds to the mystery and unsettling nature of it among humans and other races. Can I just say, my validation for hating elves and loving dwarves is increasing more and more when I read these stories. So now elves are perverse nature-bending assholes. Good. I like it here. It's always seemed odd to me that even when pushing for necromancy that is seen as not evil and even a daily or casual thing, people never go to the effort of making the dead more presentable and hygienic. Power over carrion and decay would be great. Let the wolves, crows, vultures, and maggots pick the bodies clean. Then you get hygienic skeletons instead of gross, smelly zombies. Where's the fear factor in that, though? For me, I like my necromancy neutral. Alright, special boy, one idea I've been kicking around is that necromancy would be, instead of a separate mystical force, just another way to apply the magic of the elements, with each element having different necromantic specialties. Can you think of any other besides the applications that I've already come up with? Air necromancy is my current weakest link, with my best idea being that it can be used to throw noxious corpse gases at foes, or use the last breath of a being to better communicate with them across the veil. For fire necromancy, besides turning the undead into walking incendiary devices, I was thinking it could be used to mimic the spark of life, allowing undead to self-heal to a degree. The idea for earth necromancy would be that it can increase the durability of corpses until they are as hard as rock, along with manipulating bone. Last but not least, I was thinking that water necromancy could use the blood and fluids in the corpse like earth necromancy uses bone, as well as freezing the liquids to make the bodies keep longer. Do you have anything else to add to these examples, please? Leave in the comments below if you have an idea to bend necromancy to the elemental whims. In the Fae-centric setting I'm working on, necromancy is more of a side effect than a really controllable sorcery. Weeping mother's soul shatter from despair after her children got killed, and they come back to life. None of them are the original children. They are just supernatural puppets behaving however their broken mother think they would. But unless you have fine supernatural perception, they will look and feel like the real deal. In the same vein, undeads here are either people with immense willpower who just consider that whatever they are doing is too important to let stupid things like death get in the way, or, on the opposite, people who feel they aren't allowed to rest until they've fulfilled some oath, order, or promise. So you can't just cast raise dead, but a general from a losing army making a particularly epic rallying cry can have a good chunk of his dead soldiers get back up and start fighting again. Both type crumble to dust when they feel like they've accomplished what they were here for, or if they stop believing in their mission. Necromancy is basically a freebie from fate. Same difference then between your local beauty parlor and the surgical reconstruction wing at the hospital. The former can fix all common problems without taking many risks, and satisfaction nearly guaranteed for everyone involved. Yay! The latter gets the tasks their colleague wouldn't even want to look at and do what they can knowing it's going to be messy and ugly, even on a good day. Same magic, different use cases and mindset. Never seen a necromancer to be good in the actual game. It's either a guy who just wants to show off his spells without any consideration for others, or having plans for world domination, despite clearly lacking in the intelligence department to do so even if he had the resources for it. So in my head, all necromancers are a bunch of show-offs that actually are pretty dumb. I remember once, a while back when I made a necromancer and the GM said to come up with something for our characters to do for about a year during some downtime. I decided that my necromancer would team up with a local carpenter and smith and create a construction company. Skeletons do the labor and are told what to do by the skilled folk. In short, the GM created a whole side quest thing where my skeleton construction company undercut all living workers and riots ensued. New laws were put in place that skeletons can't take jobs from living laborers. Ah, fun times.
There's no such thing as good necromancy. Just the fact that you defiled the life cycle is already evil.
What about healing? You're preventing death, so therefore you are tampering with the life cycle. Take that one, paladin boy! There's a faction in the computer game Dominions called Asphodel that basically does this. Renegade druids that came to believe that nature is dying, but rather than trying to save it, instead decided to seek revenge on civilization. They used the corpses of humans, animals, and creatures like minotaurs, harpies, and centaurs, all animated by invasive vines and roots, which also infest living creatures that enter their tainted forests, killing and raising them. They're arguably the worst faction in the game, but the lore is pretty cool and stealable. Even the best form of necromancy is morally ambiguous at its worst. You torture and enslave people without even death being a true release from the torment. Well, someone else responded to this and said, that just depends. If it's just animating the bodies, then they're technically just golems. If it's anything soul-related, then yeah, of course, it's evil. Healing is not the same as necromancy. Healing is necromancy. It all deals with the balances of positive and negative energies. There's a reason why healing spells in D&D was sorted under the school of necromancy before idiots at WotC started making changes to things they didn't understand. Now, in my current fantasy setting, false necromancy is stigmatized but semi-common, and is a sub-branch of the general science of construct creation. True necromancy isn't a school of magic per se, but rather a contagious spiritual infection you can contract that grants you the ability to bring creatures back to true unlife, at the cost of increasingly degenerative schizophrenia-like symptoms. That sounds great. True necromancer, no relation to the D&D class system as homebrew, can willingly spread the disease through speech or writing. If you hear it or read it, you can become infected, even against your will. Or sometimes the god of unlife just infects people to further his plans. Watch show. Dark magic is literally just killing animals for power. Oh no, so evil! Bitch, have you ever eaten a cheeseburger? If your necromancy or dark life force powered magic is less cruel than factory farming, then it's not evil.
No such thing as good necromancy. Just the fact that you defiled the life cycle is already evil. A wound will heal itself with time, but a skeleton will never stand up and leave his grave on its own. Good necromancy is a cope.
Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and as a special little gift to the world, we would like you to check out Loot Goblin Marketplace. They release daily shorts and weekly videos showcasing GreenText tales and RPG horror stories. So, if you like that, go ahead and check them out in the link in the description below or on one of these handy-dandy little boxes up here. Until then, we love you all. Please be safe, be happy, be healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.